Gasoline and diesel prices at local gas stations declined over the past week, with the average gasoline price in the second week of May falling by 2.41 from the previous week, according to the Korea National Oil Corporation.
5월 둘째 주 전국 주유소 휘발유 전국 판매가가 전주 대비 리터당 2.4원 내려가는 등 국내 주유소 휘발유와 경유 가격이 지난 한 주 동반 하락했다고 한국석유공사가 발표했습니다.
Yeah, so compared to the first week of May, gas prices fell 2.41. They stand now at an average of 1,637.45 won. Likewise, with diesel prices. Diesel prices are also down 3.31 to just over 1,500 won per liter.
Right.
International oil prices, though, are on the rise, but there's always about a 2-week delay, 2 to 3 week delay between international oil prices or crude prices and prices we see at the pump. So that may reflect a rise in the near future in gas prices, but according to the Korea Petroleum Association, domestic fuel prices are expected to stabilize by next week because of drops in refined product prices and a weaker exchange rate.
경유 diesel prices, 그리고 휘발유 gas prices or gasoline prices, right?
Yep.
But oftentimes we just say gas, and it
Yes.
doesn't mean the evaporating gas, but
No.
it's short for gasoline.
Right, and I believe in the UK you call them petrol.
That's
petrol
right.
stations. I
That's
think the
right, yeah.
overall generic term are filling stations, gas stations as they're called. But gas, petrol, it's a UK,
Right.
AEBE kind of
That's
difference.
right. Yes, absolutely. AE American English, BE British English. 주유소를요, American English로는 gas station, British English로는 petrol station이라고 하죠. And if it's local, that means
Yeah, if anything's local, it belongs or is related to the certain area or neighborhood, and it's exclusive to that area. And in
Yeah.
this case, we're talking about domestic.
Yes,
So
Korea.
local and Korea, exactly.
국내라는 의미로 여기서는 쓰고 있죠. 맥락에 따라서 local이 이 지역이라는 의미가 될 수도 있지만 여기서는 우리나라라는 뜻이 되겠습니다. 국내고요. What about decline?
Yeah, if something declines, it simply means it's dropping, it's sliding, it's changing in value in a downward
Yeah.
sort of direction. You can say decrease, slumping. There are many synonyms to describe a decline, but also a decline. If you want to talk about a gradient, a drop in gradient in how severe a slope something
Yeah.
is. Opposite would be incline, but don't confuse this with another meaning of the word decline when you reject something.
So many
Or
different meanings.
refuse something. So
Yeah.
it's all about context.
I think with treadmills, you can put it on a decline or an incline. Is that how
Usually
you use
an
it?
incline.
An
I
incline.
think.
Oh,
Yeah.
not a
A decline would be running downwards.
Yeah,
So
can you not do that? I've not used a
Not a-
treadmill for a very long time. Just
no.
an incline then.
Yeah, I think that would be kind of hard on your knees. I think if you
Yeah,
ran downwards.
true.
But
Yeah.
yeah.
I ask the silliest questions sometimes. I admit.
No such thing as a silly question. But usually they say you should run on an incline
Yeah.
on a treadmill, right? It's harder.
우리 러닝머신에서 가끔은 이 경사를 살짝 높여가지고요. 살짝 더 힘 들여가지고 걷거나 뛰죠. 그럴 때 put your treadmill on an incline. incline이 살짝 경사가 올라가는 건데 반대말이 decline. 그래서 경사가 내려가는 거죠. 그런 건 없군요.
Yeah.
treadmill에 decline으로.
I don't think so. Maybe we can invent one. But
혹시 몰라서 물어봤어요.
Yeah, but in any case, a decline here means a completely different thing.
Sure.
It means a downward drop in the value of something.
That's right. The verb decline means to go down. You can also say to decline saying, sorry, I am not going to accept whatever it is that you're offering.
Exactly.
Okay, well, here's the headline again. Gasoline and diesel prices at local gas stations declined over the past week, with the average gasoline price in the second week of May falling by 2.41 from the previous week, according to the Korea National Oil Corporation. Here's our next headline.
Imports of Brazilian poultry and related products have been suspended for 60 days after the world's largest chicken exporter reported a highly pathogenic bird flu outbreak on a commercial farm.
세계 최대 가금류 수출국인 브라질의 상업용 양계장에서 고병원성 조류 인플루엔자 발생이 보고됨에 따라 브라질산 닭고기 및 관련 제품의 국내 수입이 60일간 중단됐습니다.
Yeah, so the Korea's food ministry is acting very quickly after an outbreak
Yeah.
was reported in the southern part of Brazil. They call it an HPAI, a highly pathogenic avian influenza outbreak. And what happened was this outbreak occurred May 15th, it was reported. So any products, including anything related to poultry, such as eggs, day-old chicks, they've been suspended from coming into the country.
Right.
And any shipments that departed within 14 days before that ban will also undergo strict testing. And it's the first time that such an outbreak has been recorded in Brazil since 2023. But in that case, it wasn't at a commercial farm. It was reported in wild birds. So this is probably a very, people here, authorities here are taking precautions just in case.
Absolutely.
Right?
So countries all around the world
Sure.
are halting imports of Brazilian chicken
Yeah.
or eggs, as you said, related products. And in Korea's case, we're looking at 60 days of no Brazilian chicken or eggs or poultry products. Let's have a look at that expression here, poultry and related products.
Yeah, so poultry, Poultry, would be any sort of bird, domesticated bird kept by humans for harvesting, such as chickens, turkeys, duck. Goose would all be included in poultry, right? And related products would be anything that's connected with that. So we talked about chicks, eggs, feathers as well. These would all be related products to poultry.
그래요. 가금류, poultry, Poultry. 그리고 관련 제품 and related products. Poultry is the key word here.
Yeah.
The poultry farm is another term that could be used. In this case, we're looking at a commercial poultry farm.
Yep.
양계장을 poultry farm이라고 하죠.
Right. If you go to a supermarket overseas, oftentimes you'll see in the fresh food section, you'll see beef, you'll see, and then you'll see a poultry section,
Yeah.
right? Well,
Beef, pork, poultry.
Pork, poultry,
Yeah.
exactly. So, and that'll include all your chickens and related products.
Yeah, exactly. 그래요. Commercial farm은 어떤 farm인가요?
Yeah, so it's a farm that's, if something's commercial, it's engaged in commerce. So
Yeah.
we're talking about for profit, right? It's money oriented
Yeah.
commerce as opposed to, I guess, a private sort of just your local farm, I suppose, privately owned for
Yeah.
your own personal purposes.
Okay, so a commercial farm, 상업적인 목적을 가지고 있는 농장인데 그 중에서도 여기서는 양계장을 얘기하고 있죠. 그래서 commercial poultry farm 이렇게 말해도 되겠지만 앞에서 이미 poultry, chicken 이런 단어가 많이 언급이 됐기 때문에 굳이 그 단어를 쓰지 않아도 듣는 사람은 양계장을 말하고 있구나 이걸 이해할 수 있어서 그냥 farm이라고 하고 있고 그 앞에 상업적이다라는 단어가 들어갔습니다.
Yeah, I think it adds information here because the fact that this outbreak was detected not just in one just random sort of chicken, it was at this commercial farm that's intended to mass produce
That's right.
sort of this meat. It
Yeah.
gives you a little more insight into where this and just sort of the risk involved in this outbreak, I suppose.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, here's the headline one more time. Imports of Brazilian poultry and related products have been suspended for 60 days after the world's largest chicken exporter reported a highly pathogenic bird flu outbreak on a commercial farm. And one other thing I want to mention
Yes.
is bird flu is the commonly used term for avian influenza, but you don't say HPBF, highly pathogenic bird flu.
Or AAI, right?
Yeah.
HPAI.
You'll say HPAI, which
Right.
is avian influenza. That is the official term.
Right.
But in normal everyday speak, you just say bird flu.
Bird flu.
Yeah.
Avian, of course, is the adjective, anything relating to birds,
Birds.
right? And one more note,
Yeah.
if we can, pathogen.
Sure. Yeah.
We forgot to mention a pathogen or pathogenic would be anything, a bacteria, virus, anything that causes disease.
그렇죠. 고병원성이다라고 할 때 it's pathogenic 이렇게 표현을 합니다.
Moody's Ratings has downgraded the U.S. credit rating one notch from a perfect AAA to AA1, citing a significant rise in the government's debt and interest payment ratios.
국제신용평가사 무디스가 미국의 국가 신용 등급을 최고 등급인 AAA에서 AA1으로 한 단계 하향 조정하면서 정부 부채 비율과 이자 지급 비율이 크게 증가한 점을 이유로 들었습니다. I have to admit, in Korean, we probably just say AAA and then AA1.
Right.
But I did it the English way because it is in the English headline. But tell us more, though.
Yeah, so of course, Standard & Poor's, Fitch Ratings, and Moody's are the big three credit ratings agencies. But Moody's is the last one to downgrade the U.S. credit rating. Like the headline suggests, the reason for that is there's a big increase in U.S. government debt and interest payment ratios. Things like the debt to GDP ratio over the past decade have fallen. So it's not an indication of more recent events, but an overall sort of glance or look at forecast of where the U.S. stands at this point. Now, going back, if you want to see what these ratings agencies do, they're sort of independent evaluators, right, of the credit. Like individuals, we have credit ratings, right, but countries also have credit ratings, and they assess things like how much they can borrow, repaying debt, and they provide ratings that include borrowing costs, investment decisions, and regulatory requirements. So it really is an indication of just where the U.S. right now stands at this point. So not a good outlook for the U.S. Economy at this point.
Exactly. Different ratings agencies have slightly different ratings on the way they rate it. So in general, we have, the AAA, AA, A, and then what is it?
It goes. There's a big, there's a big scale there.
Yeah, exactly.
S&P and Fitch already downgraded the U.S. So Moody's is in fact the last agency to downgrade the U.S. Rating at this point.
아, 그렇군요. 자, 그래요. 이게 무디스가 최고 등급인 AAA에서 하나 내린 AA1으로 미국의 신용 등급을 하향 조정했습니다.
Yeah.
자, 근데 이제 영어로 쓸 때는요. A 3개를 쓰는 게 맞지만 우리가 읽을 때는 트리플 A라고 읽기 때문에 이게 또 우리가 방송을 할 때는 읽는 것도 중요하잖아요. 그래서 저희가 보이시는 분들은 자막에다가는 트리플 A라고 이렇게 썼어요. 그러나 이제 실제로 무디스가 트리플이라는 단어를 이렇게 적는 게 아니라 TRIPLE 이런 단어를 쓰지는 않고 그냥 AAA 이렇게 쓰죠. 실제로 이제 글씨로는. But you have to say triple A and double A or whatever it is. Yeah.
Well, that is the common way to say it.
Yes.
You could say AAA, but it's just two
좀
words.
어색해요. 네, 그냥. And if you downgrade something one notch, what are you doing?
Yeah, so if you downgrade something, you're lowering the grade, literally. So you're devaluing it, you're reducing it. And a notch would be a sort of classification. It's a level, a rung, R-U-N-G, on a scale or a degree. So if something's downgraded, that means it's lowering its classification.
그렇죠. 하향 조정하는 것을 downgrading. So the opposite would be upgrading?
Upgrading, of course. Yeah,
Okay,
you can
like
upgrade
we
your
do
car.
Your phone.
Your phone.
Yeah.
A lot of people upgrade their phones, so it's the opposite of that.
Okay. One notch는 한 단계 같은 거거든요. 여기서는 한 등급이 되겠죠. N-O-T-C-H. And it's very significant. Well, this is significant, and there's also been a significant rise in government debt.
Yes.
And so on.
Right. So, the U.S. Trump administration, a big part of their plan is to lower government spending and the national debt. So it's significant right now, the amount of debt that the U.S. has, meaning it's very considerable. It's very serious in a way. It's critical. It's at a critical point.
So as an adjective, something significant means 상당하다, 아주 크다. So a significant rise would be 많이 올린 것 in the government's debt. 그러니까 정부의 부채가 상당히 많이 올랐다. 이렇게 볼 수 있겠죠.
Yeah, I would say the opposite might be negligible if something's not as significant.
Okay,
right?
okay.
Possibly.
Got it. 자, 그러면 다시 한번 제가 읽어보겠습니다. Moody's Ratings has downgraded the US credit rating one notch from a perfect AAA to AA1, citing a significant rise in the government's debt and interest payment ratios. Now let's move on to the next headline.
An expert in the UK has suggested that turning the shower cold for 30 seconds at the end of showers can boost metabolism and encourage fat loss over time.
영국의 한 전문가가 샤워할 때 마지막 30초를 찬물로 할 경우 신진대사가 촉진되고 장기적으로 지방 연소에 효과적이라는 의견을 내놨습니다.
Yeah, so apparently another way to burn more fat if you're looking to reduce your body weight. According to this professor, if you want to do that without having to go to the gym, doing intense amounts of cardio, what you can do is at the end of your shower, turn the shower ice cold for 30 seconds. And the reason for that is because he says the body, how it responds to sudden cold exposure. When that cold water hits you, your body has to work harder to keep you warm. So that activates something, what he calls is brown fat. And that's a type of fat that burns calories to generate heat. And I imagine that's your body's sort of natural way to protect itself. If it gets cold, you need to increase the heat in your internal body temperature, I suppose. So this brown fat is a type of fat that burns calories to generate that heat and can lead to increased energy expenditure.
It's a really simple method of, I guess, losing weight.
I wonder how effective it is compared to running on a treadmill, though. Yeah.
Maybe not quite as effective, but still, in the long run, they say it helps.
I think that's the key. I was going to say
Yeah.
the last part of that headline says it encourages fat loss over time. So it doesn't mean if you just do it once this morning and
lose
jump
weight.
on a scale and to see how much weight I've lost. That probably doesn't work like that. Right?
Exactly. So over time, over a
Yes.
long period, you may see your weight go down a little bit, but you know, you have to do it consistently.
Yeah. And there are other factors to weight loss, which we've talked about
of course.
ad nauseum here, right?
Yeah, definitely. And sleep is another one of them.
Yes.
You know.
As we
I
repeat.
can't
yes.
stress enough how important sleep is. Okay, to boost metabolism, let's look at that.
Yeah, so metabolism, of course, is the chemical reactions in your body that changes food into energy, right? Oftentimes, just in normal parlance, we say if you have a high metabolism, you eat something, you digest it very well,
Yeah.
right? But that's what metabolism, and if you boost it, that means you're increasing or raising it.
Yeah, I think as you age, your metabolism slows down.
Slows
doesn't
down,
it?
I think.
Yeah.
And that's why you eat less too, because it's harder to digest or process that food into energy.
And the weight just doesn't seem to
Yeah.
go away as easily.
Yeah, and we also chalk it up. People who tend to gain weight a little easier
Yeah.
or quicker than other people, you would say that you have slower metabolism because you're not processing that food as fast.
Exactly. Because I used to be the kind of person in my 20s where I would gain weight easily, but also lose weight very easily.
Okay.
And now I only gain weight easily.
Well, yeah, of course. And likewise myself. But I remember back in high school, I would eat a whole pizza. All by myself before dinner, and I would still maintain my body weight.
Yeah, you
and
can
of
shed
course,
those pounds easily when you're younger. Yeah.
Because at that age, your metabolism is so high. You're
Exactly.
very active. You're always moving. So
Yep.
it's a whole different game there.
그러게요. 신진대사가 이렇게 굉장히 활발할 때는 뭐 굉장히 많이 먹어도 또 운동 조금만 하면 살이 쫙 빠지고 그러기도 했었던
Yeah.
기억이 나네요. Metabolism, 신진대사. 그래서 그것을 활성화하는 것을 boosting metabolism이라고 하고 신진대사가 굉장히 이제 활발할 때는 high metabolism이 있다. 그리고 이제 그게 좀 너무 느려졌을 때는 slow metabolism or
Yep.
low? Or
Both, I think. Yeah.
Okay. slow도
work.
되고 low도 될 것 같아요. 자, metabolism이었습니다. metabolism. Now, what about to encourage?
Yeah, so normally encourage would mean to support or help someone, give them confidence.
Yeah.
But here in this case, you're not really encouraging or you're not helping or supporting fat loss. What it is you are helping, but you're helping stimulate or develop. You're boosting or bolstering it, right? So it's a little different meaning in encourage, but in this case, that's what it means.
자, 무언가를 부추긴다라는 의미가 될 수도 있고 조장한다라는 의미가 될 수도 있고요. 결국은 어떻게 잘 하게 한다라는 의미가 있는 거죠. You can encourage a student to do well. You say, you can do it.
Yes.
Don't worry. You'll be fine with this exam. 이렇게 힘을 북돋울 때도 encouraging a student.
Yep.
In this case, fat loss over time. 시간이 지났을 때 체중이 감량되는 것을 그런 효과를 낸다. 이런 의미로 taking a cold shower for 30 seconds at the end of your shower can encourage that.
Exactly. So it's a little slightly different meaning.
It is, yeah, slightly different. 자, 다시 한번 제가 읽어보겠습니다. An expert in the UK has suggested that turning the shower cold for 30 seconds at the end of showers can boost metabolism and encourage fat loss over time. Now, onto the story a lot of our listeners have been very curious about. Right from the start, when we gave out the headlines, a lot of people said, "What? A duck? A duck?" Okay, what is this story?
Well, a duck has been caught speeding at 52 kilometers per hour in a 30-kilometer zone by traffic cameras in a Swiss town, with local police suggesting it may be a repeat offender, as a similar-looking duck was recorded in the same spot at the same speed on the same date in 2018.
스위스의 한 마을 도로의 제한 속도 30km 구역에서 시속 52km 속도로 비행하는 오리가 과속 카메라에 포착됐습니다. 현지 경찰은 비슷하게 생긴 오리가 지난 2018년 공교롭게도 같은 날, 같은 속도로, 같은 지점에서 적발됐던 사실을 언급하면서 이 오리가 상습범일 가능성에 주목했습니다.
Yeah, so police thought this was a joke at first, an April Fool's joke, when they saw this duck. Again, the coincidence is uncanny, right? It's a very curious coincidence, 7 years apart.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you've seen a picture of the duck
I have,
caught
yeah.
on this speeding camera, but he looks guilty. He or she
yeah.
looks guilty as charged. I don't know if you've ever gotten a speeding ticket here in Korea before with
Fortunately,
the
I have, yeah.
cameras, you know, and you get
Yep.
that grainy sort of black and white image of yourself in the mail, and you have nothing to say but pay the fine. But I don't know how they're going to track this duck down to collect their fine. But
Yep.
it is a sort of a humorous way to look at this, you know, because of course speeding is dangerous as it is. But
Sure.
the fact that it was at the same time and place, and it looks like the same duck as well, maybe goes to show these birds, when they migrate or when they move, they use the same path, perhaps? Who
Maybe,
knows?
yeah, exactly. The image that was captured by this camera makes the duck look like an eagle. You know,
Yeah.
the wings spread out. It must have been flying very fast, obviously.
Who knew ducks look so majestic in flight, right?
Exactly. All right. So this particular duck may be a repeat offender.
Yeah, so a repeat offender is someone who commits usually an illegal act, right? And if you repeat that, you're doing that more than once.
Right.
So you're repeating that, and it's similar to a term called recidivism.
Yes.
Recidivim, and that's used in the criminal justice system
Yep.
a lot when you describe someone who has a tendency to relapse and go back into criminal behavior after serving their penalty, right?
And you want to prevent that as much as possible. And a lot of different programs
Right.
are made specifically aimed at lowering recidivism among
Right.
criminals.
Exactly.
Yeah. 그래요. recidivism이라는 건 좀 어려운 단어이긴 한데 이거는 뭐냐면은 범죄를 다시 하게 되는 걸 말합니다. 그래서 이런 것들을 줄이기 위해 이제 어떤 범죄로 인해서 뭐 구속이 된다든지 아니면 처벌을 받고 여러 가지 뭐 재활 프로그램에 들어갔을 때 다시는 그것을 못하게끔 한다라는 걸 영어로는 they try to prevent recidivism
Yeah,
or,
it's a hard
or
one.
lower the recidivism rates.
Right, exactly. And that's a lot of prison systems will look at that recidivism rate to see how people are rehabilitated and whether they can adjust back into living in society after serving usually prison terms.
맞아요. 그래서 이런 재범 아니면 상습적으로 어떤 범행을 저지르는 것을 recidivism, recidivism I가 굉장히 많이 들어가네요. 이렇게 표현하는데 지금 그 얘기를 왜 하셨냐면 repeat offender라는 단어 때문입니다.
Yeah.
그게 바로 상습범이라는 표현이에요. 그래서 관련된 단어로 외우시면 되겠고 repeat는 우리가 잘 알고 있죠? repeat, 다시 하다. offender가 범인이에요. 그러니까 상습범, repeat offender. What about similar looking duck?
Yeah, this one's pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
It's an adjective if you want to combine the two, where two things look like each other in some way or another. Their characteristics or their features, they resemble each other, like twins.
그렇습니다. 비슷하게 생긴 a similar looking duck, a similar looking person 이렇게 표현을 할 수 있겠고요. 자, 그다음에 시속 몇 킬로미터는 영어로 이제 킬로미터하고 slash 그다음에 H 이렇게 써 있는데 읽을 때는 kilometers per hour 이렇게 보통 얘기를 하죠. 그러니까 사실 우리는 그냥 그냥 제한 속도 30km 이렇게만 해도 다 이해를 해요. 이게 시속 30km라는 거를 알죠. 시속이란 단어를 안 써도. 근데 영어에서는 speeding at 그냥 52 kilometers 하면은 안 돼요. 그 per hour가 반드시 들어가야 됩니다. 영어에서는 너무 이상하게 들리니까 요거는 기억해 주시면 되고. You could say kilometers an hour if you want, but normally we say per hour, P-E-R. All right, well, here's the headline again. A duck has been caught speeding at 52 kilometers per hour in a 30-kilometer zone by traffic cameras in a Swiss town, with local police suggesting it may be a repeat offender. As a similar-looking duck was recorded in the same spot, at the same speed, on the same date in 2018. All right, well, that's it for the headlines this morning.
China cut its stockpile of US treasuries in March before its trade war with President Donald Trump escalated, dropping to third place among foreign holders, according to data from the US Treasury Department.
미국 재무부 자료에 따르면 중국이 미중 관세 전쟁이 격화하기 이전인 올해 3월에 미국 국채 보유량을 줄임에 따라 미 국채 보유국 순위에서 3위로 내려온 것으로 나타났습니다. Tell us more.
Sure, China was in top in 2019, then Japan overtook it, and now, well, as of March, we've seen it drop to third place. It's actually the UK is now above China.
Yeah.
And it's got $779.3 billion worth of treasuries, whereas China has $765.4 billion worth. So it's a net sale of something like $27.6 billion of long-term treasuries by Chinese holdings. And it's the first time the UK has had more of the treasuries for more than 2 decades. I think eyes are on treasuries because along with tariffs, this is also very important in the trade war. Because if you sell off all your US treasuries, that can actually put the US in a little bit of danger. Yeah. We shall see what happens, but the good news is that things seem to be smoothing over. There was a meeting between US and Chinese officials last weekend, leading to a lower set of levies. There's a trade deal with the UK. Perhaps things are looking up when it comes to international trade for America.
So when it comes to holdings of US treasuries, we have Japan, the UK, and now China in third place. Okay, let's have a look at the word stockpile.
Oh, if you have a stockpile of something, you have a lot of it. You have a pile of it in stock. So it's something that you're keeping in a large amount, or you're storing, or you're even hoarding.
Yeah.
For example, during the pandemic, when COVID first hit in the UK, there was a problem with toilet paper. Nobody could get toilet paper in the supermarket because people had been stockpiling it. They've been putting rolls and rolls in their bathroom cabinets.
So it can be used as a verb as well as a noun.
Exactly. You have a stockpile of something or you can stockpile something.
Right. A stockpile as a noun is 많은 비축량, 많이 모아놓은 그 양을 말하고요. And as a verb, 그렇게 비축하다. 이런 의미가 됩니다. So in this case, we're using it as a noun, and it says China cut its stockpile of US treasuries in March. A lot of it went down, and that's why it lost its second place position. Now it's in third place. And March was right before the trade war escalated.
Yes, and if something escalates, well, it goes up. It's made bigger or stronger or more intense. The way I think of it, and we've had a disagreement on this before, Sue, is I think of an escalator.
Sure.
Because in my mind, the escalator always goes up.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's so much as a disagreement as it is just pointing out that it's confusing for
It
some
can be,
learners.
yes, I know. But that's what works for me in my
Sure.
mind. I think of an up arrow and I think of an escalator.
맞아요. 자, escalate라는 동사는 올라간다라는 의미가 기본적으로 있기 때문에 이 경우에는 이제 미중 무역 전쟁이 격화한 것을 얘기하고 있겠죠. 그 상황이 더 나빠진 것을.
I don't think that you or I would use this in our everyday conversations with friends and family. This is something that businesses or governments use. You'll find it in the newspapers, not in real life chats.
Absolutely. Well, here's the headline again. China cut its stockpile of US treasuries in March before its trade war with President Donald Trump escalated, dropping to third place among foreign holders, according to data from the US Treasury Department. Let's move on to the second headline.
2 people have been killed after a Mexican Navy sailing ship crashed into the underside of New York City's Brooklyn Bridge, smashing its masts and rigging.
멕시코 해군 훈련함이 미국 뉴욕의 브루클린 다리와 충돌해 돛대 및 장비가 파손되고 2명의 사망자가 발생했습니다. Okay, tell us what happened.
This should have been somewhat of a celebration that turned into a disaster. Every year, the ship, the Cuauhtemoc, sets sail at the end of classes for that year at the Naval Military School for Mexico. It's sort of the end of the cadets' training. It's the last big thing, and then they're going to graduate and go on. But tragedy struck on Saturday. The captain was maneuvering the vessel, and it was trying to get to where they would be able to pass under the structure of the bridge. However, the masts clipped the bridge and they snapped and they fell to the deck. Crew members were actually standing on the masts at the time. So the police are saying it was a mechanical malfunction, that a power cut had caused the collision, but certainly it's a big disaster, not just for the ship, but for the 2 lives lost.
Yeah.
Luckily, nobody fell into the water. All personnel were accounted for.
I think they just lost their power to maneuver this.
Yeah, so they
Very
were trying
big
to get to the
ship.
point where they could get under the bridge and they weren't able to get there.
Yeah, obviously the masts are very high up and they sort of almost snapped in, not in two, but they were definitely at an angle by the time it had hit the bridge.
And it's, I mean, these things do happen occasionally, but it's a horrible thing for these recruits to experience and for
Yeah.
the people on the bridge at the time.
Well, there are many ways to say that it collided into this bridge. The word used here is it crashed into the underside of the bridge.
Yeah, and when we crash into something or something crashes into something else, it hits that other thing with force and usually with speed. One good way to think of it is the word crash is onomatopoeia. It's the sound of the word crash. So if you think of that, it's not just a little hit, it's not a bump, it's actually something much more serious.
그러네요. 자, 충돌하다, crash into something, and it can be a noun as well, a crash. What about a mast?
Now, this is something you won't use in everyday language, but it's good to know if you like ships and you like sailing or you like pirates. So not a modern ferry or a cruise ship, but old sailing ships, those that have the big cloth sails,
Right.
they all have masts. And these are these vertical posts that help attach the ropes to the sails so that the boat can move.
배의 돛대, MAST, mast. And by the way, rigging, 그거는 이제 배에 쓰이는 rope나 쇠사슬 같은 거를 얘기해요. 그래서 앞서서 우리말로는 그냥 이제 장비라고 통칭을 해봤습니다. All right, well, here's the headline one more time. 2 people have been killed after a Mexican Navy sailing ship crashed into the underside of New York City's Brooklyn Bridge, smashing its masts and rigging.
An increasing number of students in the US are spending hours recording their screens or using keystroke tracking word processors to fend off accusations of using generative AI tools for schoolwork.
미국에서 학생들이 과제물 작성에 생성형 인공지능을 썼다는 혐의를 받지 않기 위해 몇 시간씩 할애에 작업 중인 화면을 녹화하거나 키보드 입력 과정이 추적되는 워드 프로세서를 쓰는 경우가 점점 늘고 있다는 소식입니다. Oh dear.
Yeah, this is a thorny issue, Sue, because we have a Pew Research survey last year that said 26% of teenagers said they'd used ChatGPT for schoolwork, and that was double the rate of the previous year. And teachers are very worried about students making shortcuts and using generative AI to write their essays or to solve their math problems or whatever it may be. But the other side of the issue is you have students who don't want to use AI, but are worried that they may be falsely accused of using AI. And it seems like, certainly in the US, there are many students who are doing things like recording their screen. As they write their essay, they screen record so they have proof that they were writing it in real time. Others are using word processors that will actually track every key stroke you make, every button you press, because they don't want to be penalized.
Absolutely. So this really just comes with the development of AI. It's something that wasn't necessary before, but now that, you know, we have all of these devices and softwares that can help us do a lot of, you know, writing, I guess students are having to prove that they didn't use it now.
Yeah, and teachers are having to be suspicious that their students might.
Yeah.
It's really a very, very difficult issue.
Absolutely. You said earlier on this was a thorny issue,
Yes.
like a thorn on a rose.
Exactly. Very prickly, very spiky, could hurt you, could sort of stab you. So a thorny issue is something that could hurt or could cause problems or could cause upset.
네. thorny, thorny라는 것은 장미에 있는 가시가 thorn인데 그런 이제 가시가 많이 돋은 것 같은 논란이 될 수 있는 문제나 좀 어려운 문제, 사람들에게 뭐 고통도 가져올 수 있다. 약간 이렇게 표현을 하셨는데요. 뭐 가시가 이제 찔리면 아프니까
네.
이렇게 생각하시면 되기는 합니다만 좀 논란이 되는 이슈다 이렇게 보시면 되겠죠. It is indeed. Let's have a look at this word. Word processor.
Yeah, I'm old enough to remember when my mum had an electric typewriter that was called a word processor, I think.
Yes.
But then it graduated properly to computers. In the 80s and 90s, there were computer programs that were for making documents, for typing documents. And these are word processors or word processor programs. I'm sure you use one. I know I use several. I'm sure our listeners have at least one word processor that they go to write documents on their computer or phone.
그래요. 뭐 그냥 우리도 외래어로 사실 워드 프로세서라고 하기 때문에 네. 뭐 크게 설명은 필요 없겠지만
Sorry,
원래는
I'll just be quiet.
No, it's not your fault. 원래 이제 문서 작성기라는 의미가 있었고 그다음에 따로 워드 프로세서라는 기기가 따로 있었죠 예전에는. 요즘에는 이제 이런 소프트웨어를 쓰는 것이고 to fend off accusations.
Keep away, Sue. Keep away. Don't accuse me of anything. Don't do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're fending me off.
If you're fending someone off or fending off accusations, you're pushing them away, you're keeping them away, you're fighting them so they don't get to you. I mean, if you think of it literally, these days, I feel so sorry for some celebrities because the paparazzi will surround them and they have to fend them off. They're like, I just want to get in the building or I just want to get into my car.
Right.
Please leave me alone. They're fending them off.
막다, 피하다. So fend someone off or fend off someone. 둘 다 맞고요. You can fend off paparazzis or you can fend off accusations. 혐의를 막다. 이렇게 쓸 수도 있어요.
Or you can fend off your cat when you're trying to use a word processor and she keeps stepping on the keyboard.
That can happen too. All right, here's the headline one more time. An increasing number of students in the US are spending hours recording their screens or using keystroke tracking word processors to fend off accusations of using generative AI tools for schoolwork. Now let's move on to the next headline.
A new report from Spain's Accident Investigation Authority has detailed that a Lufthansa flight with more than 200 people on board went without a pilot for 10 minutes last year after the co-pilot fainted while he was alone in the cockpit.
스페인 항공사고 조사기관의 보고서에 따르면 지난해 200여 명이 탑승한 독일 루프탄사 여객기가 10분간 조종사 없이 상공을 비행했던 것으로 알려졌습니다. 이 사고는 기장이 잠시 자리를 비운 사이 조종관을 맡은 부기장이 실신하면서 발생했습니다.
Can we all just say thanks to the person who invented the autopilot? Because this really saved the day in this case.
Yeah.
What had happened was this was a flight from Frankfurt to Seville. This was back in February 2024. The captain went to the loo. He left the cockpit to go to the loo. And in that time, the co-pilot fainted. Luckily, the autopilot was active. It was on. However, they believe, thanks to the voice recorder they had, that he may have inadvertently struck some buttons when he fainted or when he was moving around. The captain got out of the loo, got out of the bathroom, tried to get in and found that the door wasn't opening. He was using the usual code, and eventually he had to use an emergency code to get access and to take control. What seems to be the case is the co-pilot had an underlying neurological condition that he did not know about. It hadn't been picked up in his medical testing. So this was an extraordinary circumstance, the Spanish authority said. We're very lucky that nobody was hurt. And we're very lucky that we have things like autopilot to keep our planes flying in the sky.
Absolutely. You don't want to be without a pilot. But that was the case. Let's have a look at go without something.
Well, if you go without something, you don't have it, Sue. I'm always amazed when I come into the studio and Sue doesn't have a cup with her. Today she does. She has a cup of something next to her. But there have been 2 hours where I've sat here and Sue has not had a sip of water. She goes without water and I don't know how she does it.
Sometimes I do that. Go without something and 뭘 없이 견디다. Go without water, 물 없이 견디다. Go without a pilot, pilot 없이 견디다. Go without Paul, Paul 없이 견디다.
What? Am I being fired?
We can't go without Paul
Okay.
on a Tuesday.
Thank goodness.
And to faint?
Well, to faint means to lose consciousness. Generally speaking, we think of someone going from standing and suddenly collapsing to the floor. It's when you don't quite fall asleep, but you're losing your conscious mind and you have no control over yourself.
Exactly. 기절하는 것을 fainting이라고 하는데요. 스펠링은 F-A-I-N-T. I'm so frail. I'm always worried I'm going to faint.
Yeah, and some people...
That was a joke.
Oh, sorry, Sue.
I'm not frail at all.
I'm good. But some people do say, when they're feeling dizzy, for example, they might say, I feel faint.
I feel faint, yeah.
Yeah, which means
Yeah.
I feel like I could possibly faint.
That's right, exactly.
Usually it's used as a bit of an exaggeration, as an emphasis, but some people really do mean it. Don't confuse it when we talk about, for example, a faint picture or a faint sound. That means we almost can't see it, or we almost can't hear it.
So that's a different meaning then.
Yes.
Interesting. 자, 우리도 가끔 뭐 좀 기절할 것 같아 라는 말을 할 때가 있죠. 너무 힘들거나 그럴 때. 영어로는 I feel like I'm gonna faint 해도 되겠지만 I feel faint.
Yeah.
이렇게만 해도 돼요. So hopefully no one's feeling that way this morning.
Oh,
but,
no.
This is an expression you can use with the word 기절하다, faint. 다시 한번 제가 헤드라인 읽어보겠습니다. A new report from Spain's Accident Investigation Authority has detailed that a Lufthansa flight with more than 200 people on board went without a pilot for 10 minutes last year after the co-pilot fainted while he was alone in the cockpit.
Are you feeling faint?
I'm feeling a little faint with all these zeros and numbers this
200,
morning.
not 2,000.
200, that's right. Okay, well, our last story, luckily, has no numbers in it, I think. Let's have a look.
A new study finds that pruny fingers, or the wrinkles that form on fingertips after soaking in water, follow consistent, repeatable patterns within the same individual, even across different days.
손을 물에 오래 담갔을 때 손가락 끝 표면에 생기는 주름 모양이 동일인의 경우 여러 시점에서 반복해도 일관적이라는 사실이 연구를 통해 밝혀졌습니다. So no matter when you soak your hands in water, you're going to get the exact same puffy print. The
Yes,
pruny
you
fingers.
should. You should
Yeah.
get the same wrinkly fingers. I used to love it when I was a kid.
Yeah, wrinkly fingers,
I'd
yeah.
make sure I stay in the bath
For-
until I got the wrinkly
Right.
fingers.
그래요. 우리 목욕탕에 오래 있거나 아니면 수영장, 바다 다 마찬가지인데
네.
물속에 오래 있다 보면은 손가락 끝이 다 이렇게 쭈글쭈글해지죠. 마치 prune 같다,
Yeah.
대추 같다라고 해가지고 그 쭈글쭈글한 대추.
Well, no, it's 대추 아니에요.
아, 대추 아니에요?
자두요.
아,
A
자두예요?
prune is a dried
아, 그렇구나.
plum.
What's a 대추?
It's a date.
A date. Okay, sorry. got
It's all right.
got my fruits mixed up.
It's okay. It's easy to do.
아, 그렇구나. 말린 자두.
Yeah.
아, 이제 또 잘 이해가 됐습니다.
Now, the funny thing is, I think a lot of people, including me, thought it was because your skin was absorbing water. But that's not why you get pruny fingers. It's actually your blood vessels are constricting. They're getting smaller, they're getting thinner. And that's controlled by the nervous system, which means if you have nerve damage, you may not get pruny fingers at all.
Interesting.
Yeah, so it's really interesting. These findings mean that when they're using biometrics or forensics or other kind of diagnostics that may involve these wrinkled fingers, they're getting a lot more information. They can do it with a lot more accuracy.
그래요. 물속에 오래 있다 보면은 이제 손끝이 이렇게 쭈글쭈글해지는 이유는 이 살이 불어서가 아니고요. 이게 어떤 생존 본능에 의한 것인데, 우리가 일반적으로 그냥 보통 손가락 끝을 보면은 매끈매끈하죠.
네.
근데 이 상태로는 물속에 있을 때 무언가 붙잡기가 힘듭니다. 그래서 약간의 마찰이 생기기 위한 그냥 우리 몸의 신비로움인데 이게 쭈글쭈글해지면서 약간 뭐 바위라든지 뭐 돌, 뭐 벽, 뭔가 붙잡을 수 있는 그런 상태가 된다라고 예전에 제가 읽은 바가 있는데 자, 그런 상태가 되는 것까지는 우리가 알고 있었지만 이번 새로 나온 연구 결과의 발표는 그 모양이 매번 똑같다는 겁니다. 그 쭈글쭈글한 모양이 우리 지문도 뭐 이제 늘 똑같듯이 쭈글쭈글함의 이 모양새 이런 것들도 항상 똑같대요.
It makes sense, as you said. Fingerprints
Yeah.
are the same, so should the pruny fingers.
Exactly. Let's have a look at consistent.
I think I'm very consistent when I come on Morning Special. I explain English expressions and I make bad jokes every single time. Yeah, meaning if I'm consistent, I'm doing the same thing again and again and again. Or I am the same again and again and again. It's repeatable, whatever it is.
그래요. consistent라는 것은 한결같다라는 뜻이 있어요. 일관됐다. 뭔가 좀 지속적으로 쭉 계속한다는 뜻이 있죠. 그래서 이 손끝에 있는 이 주름이 언제 어느 날에 물속에 담가도 똑같은 모양이 그 한 사람한테는 똑같은 모양이 나온다라는 뜻이고요. 자기만의 고유 그 쭈글쭈글한 패턴이 있다는 거죠. So in the future, they say they could use this to apply it in biometrics. They could use the wrinkle patterns as indicators of nerve function and
Yeah.
blood flow. So yeah, as you said, it has a lot to do with the nervous system.
It does, it's very useful.
And this is the same for every individual.
Yes.
So my wrinkles are not going to be like your wrinkles.
Well, it's very unlikely.
Yeah, they're going to be different.
I mean, you might get pruny doppelgangers somewhere, but generally
no.
speaking, like snowflakes, we're all
Yeah.
we're all different. Each individual, meaning each person, is different to the other. So when we use the term individual, it's an impersonal way of saying person.
Yeah.
What I wish for is that I could get an individual serving of samgyeopsal at a barbecue restaurant because they never give it.
All right, an individual. 이제 개인이라는 뜻이 있어서요. 그러니까 한 사람이라는 뜻이겠죠. So for Paul, whenever you put your fingers in water, you're going to have the same wrinkles for your own hands.
I
But
will.
you're not going to have the same wrinkles as someone else's wrinkles.
No.
그래요. 그러니까 각 개인에게 있어서는 자신의 wrinkle은 그냥 늘 똑같다 이런 얘기를 하고 싶은 거고 individual serving이라는 건 뭐 1인용 서빙이
네.
되겠죠. Right, here's the headline again. A new study finds that pruny fingers, or the wrinkles that form on fingertips after soaking in water, follow consistent, repeatable patterns within the same individual, even across different days. Well, that's it for the headlines.
The Cultural Heritage Administration has announced that temple food, which refers to a vegetarian culinary tradition rooted in Buddhist principles and emphasizes mindful eating, has been designated as a national intangible cultural heritage item.
국가유산청은 불교 원칙에 뿌리를 두면서 마음 챙김을 강조하는 채식 요리 전통인 사찰 음식을 신규 국가 무형유산으로 지정한다고 발표했습니다. Tell us more.
Yeah, this is exciting news. So they've officially designated temple food as a national intangible cultural heritage item. And this traditional Buddhist cuisine, it's rooted in the principles of non-killing. It excludes meat, fish, and pungent ingredients like garlic or green onions. Temple food includes both everyday meals for monks and ritual practices like parugongyang, which is a mindful, no-waste dining ceremony using simple wooden bowls. And authorities praised its deep cultural value, its connection to Korean culinary history, and its unique use of local and fermented ingredients as well. So this designation, it recognizes temple food as a community-based heritage since it's passed down collectively by monks and varies by temple rather than being linked to a single individual. And the move aims to preserve and promote the centuries-old culinary tradition as a vital part of Korea's spiritual and cultural identity.
Yeah, I know a lot of people like to go to temple stays
Yeah.
and enjoy the temple food. People from overseas will come to Korea to experience this as well. I didn't know that temple food had to avoid a specific number of ingredients. I do know that it's meat-free and vegetarian.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's interesting that they don't use pungent ingredients And pungent means something that smells really
Has
strong.
a strong smell. Yes.
그렇죠. 향이 아주 강한 것을 P-U-N-G-E-N-T, pungent 하다라고 하는데 그거를 이제 오신채라고 해가지고 자극적인 5가지 채소를 사용하지 않는다고 하고요. 또 육류와 생선 사용하지 않죠. 이런 이제 사찰 음식이 이제는 국가 무형유산으로 지정이 됐습니다. So these things, these foods, they're rooted in Buddhist principles.
Right. So when something is rooted in something, you can think about a tree's roots. It's inside something. So it means to be based or caused by something or
Yeah.
established deeply and firmly or comes from or originates from something.
Root is 뿌리, so I guess rooted in would be 무엇에 뿌리를 두고 있다. 네, rooted in, 여기서는 Buddhist principles. What about mindful eating?
Yeah, so mindful eating, they also, I think they call this intuitive eating as well. And they say that it's an approach to food where you intentionally focus on your senses and thoughts while eating without judgment. So it kind of, you're fully present with your food and the eating experience. You're paying attention to how it looks, how it smells, how it tastes and feels in your mouth. And you're acknowledging any sort of related thoughts or feelings. So you're in that moment
Yeah.
and you're thinking about the food.
So I guess you're not using your smartphone and
No.
watching videos as you
No.
eat, nothing like that.
Yeah.
In fact, I believe you're not really allowed to use, digital devices when you're doing the temple stay.
I don't think so. It's supposed to be like a detox, right?
Right,
Yeah.
right, exactly. Mindfulness, 마음 챙김이라고 하는데 mindful eating은 그래서 이 마음 챙김을 강조하는 그런 이제 식사 의식 이렇게 볼 수 있겠네요.
Yep.
그러니까 먹는 행위 자체에 집중을 하면서 정말 음미하고 천천히 먹는 이런 식사 의식을 mindful eating이라고 할 수 있겠어요. 자, 다시 한번 제가 읽어보겠습니다. The Cultural Heritage Administration has announced that temple food, which refers to a vegetarian culinary tradition rooted in Buddhist principles and emphasizes mindful eating, has been designated as a national intangible cultural heritage item. Okay, let's move on to the second story.
A record 14 million air conditioners were sold in India last year, with residential ownership projected to rise ninefold by mid-century as millions seek vital relief from extreme heat that can reach nearly 50 degrees Celsius.
지난해 인도에서 에어컨이 1,400만 대라는 기록적인 숫자로 판매된 가운데 수백만 명이 섭씨 50도에 달하는 폭염을 피할 필수 방안을 강구함에 따라 금세기 중반까지 인도의 주거용 에어컨 판매량이 9배 정도 증가할 것으로 전망됐습니다. So we're going to see more and more air conditioners being sold in India because it is so hot.
Right. I think I remember last summer, there was a news report about a news anchor fainting
Yeah.
mid news because it was so hot there. And I was surprised to hear that they don't have a lot of air conditioners in
Right.
India. It's actually, they say that only 7% of households currently own air conditioning units. So the country is the world's fastest growing AC market. And they're saying this boom could mean the world's most populous country needs to triple electricity production to meet demand. So the nation's 1.4 billion people is already the world's third biggest producer of climate warming greenhouse gases, burning through 1 billion metric tons of coal in the 2024 to 25 season, according to government statements. And today, air conditioners are no longer regarded as a luxury indulgence, but a productivity and need investment. So with temperatures reaching, I think they said that it went up to 49.2 degrees Celsius back in 2022. It's going up higher and higher. It's becoming more of a necessity than, and rather than, as I mentioned, a luxury indulgence. So more people are investing in getting air conditioners. So
Heat waves are supposed to be extreme weather events,
Yeah.
but over in India and I guess all around the world, it's almost becoming just the norm to hear about heat waves in the summertime.
Right.
And it's just worse, I guess,
Yeah.
in countries like India. All right, so we're talking about residential ownership of ACs.
Right.
What's residential?
That means it's in your home. So residential, it's an adjective that expresses a relationship with home. So it can be an apartment or any place that people live in. So it means that it's designed for people to live in.
Yeah. 주거용의 something something 그럴 때 residential. So if it's a residential area 그러면은 이제 주택이 많이 있는 아니면은 사람들이 많이 살고 있는 그런 지역이 되겠죠. If it's not a residential area, maybe it's a commercial area. There could be many office buildings, and I guess 여의도 is seen as a very commercial area.
Yeah.
Even though there are apartments there
course,
too.
yeah.
It's very commercial. I guess like Terano, also a very commercial area.
Yeah, very business district,
Business
right?
district, yes. But then you have some areas where it's just houses and apartments and not really many buildings apart from that.
Yeah.
So that would be a residential area. 여기서는 residential ownership of air conditioners. So it's not owned by the company or, a shop or something like that. It's people individually owning air conditioners in their houses. 자, 주거용 에어컨이 아직은 많이 보급이 안 돼서 작년에 상당히 많이 팔렸는데 앞으로도 더 많이 팔려서요. 향후 몇 년 안에 이번 세기 안에 이제 한 9배 정도 더 팔릴 것으로 그렇게 예견이 된다고 하죠.
Yeah. And, we did mention that, of course, energy, environmental concerns are strong, but they are saying that more energy efficient inverter models are becoming more common in India. So
Okay.
they are keeping that in mind, but there's just the sheer number of people there.
Right.
So.
Absolutely. They are now the biggest country in the world in terms of population. All right, what about vital relief?
Right, vital. Vital, we use this word when it has to do with like life or death situations. So
Really
when-
important.
Right.
Yeah.
So when something is vital, it means it's absolutely necessary or important, or something when something is essential. And like I said, when it's like a life or death situation, or it has to do with your life. So when something provides vital relief, it's kind of providing, it's taking away your pain or discomfort or distress, but in a way that it has to do with your life. So in this case, the temperature, if it goes up to 50 degrees, you would really need an air conditioner to help sustain your life.
Yeah,
Because it could cause a life-threatening situation for the elderly or for younger children who might not be safe in that sort of heat.
그렇죠. 보통 우리가 그 병원에서 vital signs라고 하면은 생명의 필수적인 그런 징후들 이런 걸 얘기하는데요. For example, you might have blood pressure and your breathing rate.
Yeah, your heart rate.
Your heart
Yeah.
rate, yeah, absolutely. Body temperature, as well as, I believe, the oxygen saturation.
Yeah.
They check your nails for that.
Yeah, they check your eyes,
And your eyes,
your
yeah.
pupil dilation.
맞아요. 자, 이런 여러 가지를 보통 체크해서 응급 상황, 위급 상황일 때 생명에 지장이 없는지는 확인하게 되죠. 그런 vital signs, vital이 아주 필수적이다라는 뜻이 있어서 생명에 필수적인 것이라는 의미로 많이 쓰이고 vital relief에서의 relief는 구호입니다. 그래서 구호 활동, relief efforts. 자, 다시 한번 제가 읽어볼게요. A record 14 million air conditioners were sold in India last year, with residential ownership projected to rise ninefold by mid-century, as millions seek vital relief from extreme heat that can reach nearly 50 degrees Celsius.
In a historic move, Paris will permit swimming in the Seine River for the first time since 1923, with 3 public pools set to open on July 5th following successful Olympic events that demonstrated improved water quality.
프랑스 파리시는 올림픽을 성공적으로 개최하면서 샌느강의 수질이 입증된 것을 계기로 올 여름 샌강에서 1923년 이후 처음으로 일반인의 수영을 허가할 예정입니다. 이에 따라 오는 7월 5일부터 샌느강의 새 지점에 수영 가능 구역이 신설됩니다. So you can now swim in the summertime in the Seine?
Is it really safe though? Because I mean, during the Olympics, isn't this what a lot of people were talking about?
They were talking about it, but I guess, they said, well, no one had any skin problems or anything like that, and so it's safe. Anyone who wants to swim in the Seine, you can now officially do so.
Yeah, starting July 5th. So this is according to France's sports minister, and the initiative aims to make the river accessible for all, with sites located near the Eiffel Tower, Notre Dame Cathedral, and the National Library. So each location will offer changing rooms, showers, and lifeguards with floating platforms in place for the summer vacances season. And the move follows over €1 billion invested in cleaning the Seine, with Olympic test events last year proving the water quality up to standard. Swimming was banned back in 1923, of course, due to pollution. So this marks a major milestone in Paris's environmental and urban revival efforts. Officials say that the project also responds to climate change, offering much needed cooling spaces as summer heat intensifies.
그래요. 탈의실, changing rooms, 그리고 샤워실, showers도 다 구비가 된다고 합니다. Okay, let's have a look at the word to permit.
Yes, so it's used as a verb and it means to give authorization or consent to someone to allow them or to allow them to do something.
그렇죠. 가능하게 하다, 허락하다라는 동사로 여기서는 쓰였어요. But it can be a noun. So a driving permit.
Parking permit, driving
parking
permit,
permit,
yes.
yeah.
In the US, you usually start off with a permit. And then it moves on to a license. So it's a permit that you get when you first start driving. And then after you pass, so this is in high school, after you pass everything, you get an official driver's license.
I don't know what that would be in Korean because
I
we
don't
only
think you
have
have
the
one.
driver's
Yeah,
license.
yeah.
We don't have anything before that.
Yeah.
You'd either
Because you
have
don't
a license.
start driving very early here.
That's right. Yeah, exactly. 우리는 그냥 운전 면허증만 있잖아요. Driver's license. 근데 미국에서는 그 라이선스 있기 전에 permit라는 게 따로 또 주어져서 좀 더 어린 나이에 퍼미트가 있으면 운전을 할 수 있고 그 다음에 나중에 라이선스를 받게 되는 거군요.
I don't remember what exactly it was, but I think you had to have like someone older who had a license like with you when you
okay.
were driving, something like that. Yeah, and then you would get an official license.
Yeah, because I know in the States, kids as young as, 16,
You
15.
take driver's education classes in high school. So
Okay.
in your second year, in your sophomore year, usually.
All right.
Yeah.
So late teens,
Yeah.
but not as late as in Korea.
Yeah.
So you can get a permit first. 허가증 정도가 될 것 같으네요. 운전 허가증.
It
근데
allows you to do something.
맞아요. 네,
Yes.
그래서 보호자가 옆에 있다라는 전제하에 미국에서는 사실 대중교통보다는 아무래도 차로 이동을 하는 게 훨씬 용이하기 때문에 그렇게 하는 것 같습니다. 자, 그다음에 demonstrate.
Demonstrate. So it means to clearly show something. In this case, it demonstrated that the water was clean, right? So it clearly showed the truth of something. So
Yeah.
it gives some sort of proof or evidence to show something.
그렇죠. 자, 무언가를 입증하고 보여주는 것을 to demonstrate something이라고 하는데 the Olympics was it last summer? Demonstrated improved water quality in the Seine River. So now people are saying, I think it's fine to swim there. But
Yeah.
everyone else, politicians that swam in it last year, and they had a few sort of famous people swim in the Seine, and Olympians as well.
Yeah,
So-
but didn't they like throw up after
some
swimming in
people
the
did.
water?
No. Well, but nonetheless, they've decided to do this.
Yeah, but I mean, I think it takes effort, and I think it shows that they will continue to try to clean it up and make the water cleaner. So, and they're going to pay attention to it. So this is a positive move.
Uh-huh. One of our listeners, Kim Yun-ho님, says 한국도 똑같이 허가증이 있을 거예요. 동승시 운전 가능. 그런 게 있어요, 우리나라도. I didn't know that.
Me neither.
All right, well, let me read the headline one more time. In a historic move, Paris will permit swimming in the Seine River for the first time since 1923, with 3 public pools set to open on July 5th, following successful Olympic events that demonstrated improved water quality. Here's our next headline.
British ultra-endurance athlete William Goode has set a new world record by running 3,800 kilometers across Australia in 35 days in order to raise funds for cancer charities in memory of his late mother.
체력 한계에 도전하는 영국의 달리기 주자 윌리엄 구드가 35일 만에 3,800km를 달려 호주를 횡단하는 신기록을 세웠습니다. 이번 도전은 작고 한 자신의 어머니를 기리기 위해 암 관련 자선 모금을 목표로 했던 것으로 알려졌습니다. Just to add, in many Western countries, running for charity is a very common thing to do. I don't know if they do it as much in Korea. I know a lot of people love running in Korea.
Well, I can think of Sean, the singer from Jinushan.
진우션의
He
션,
runs
네.
for various causes.
That's
yes.
exactly
Yeah.
what we're talking about. 네.
Yeah.
사실 외국에서는 아주 어릴 때부터 이렇게 달리기를 해서 모금 행사하는 경우가 아주 많습니다. 그 자선 모금. 그래가지고 뭐 굉장히 좀 자연스러운 그런 뭐라 그럴까요? 모금 행동이기는 했지만 좀 특별한 의미가 있죠. In this case, we're talking about a really, really long distance
Yes.
in a short span of time, and it was also to cherish and to remember his late mother.
Yeah, so we call these races like cross country, right? Because it's going from one part of the country to another part of the country, right?
Right, exactly.
So he broke this record. He completed the 3,800 kilometer trek. It goes from Perth to Bondi Beach. So it's going from West Australia to Sydney.
Yeah.
And he made this in 35 days. And what it is basically he's running 2.5 marathons, or about 100 kilometers per day. And he ran through dust storms. He had bone pain. He even felt hallucinations. So it was a really, really difficult race. So the 31-year-old placed flowers on Bondi Shore in memory of his late mother, whose battle with cancer inspired the run and helped him to push through the pain. And his journey raised funds for cancer charities across the UK, US, and Australia. And despite questions from some in the running community about his tracking data, Good stands by his record and says that he took every single step, and the feat now awaits verification from Guinness World Records, who currently recognizes a 39-day record set back in 2023. And he says that it was the toughest thing that he has ever done, but definitely the deepest emotional experience.
This is like almost 100 marathons in about a month.
Yeah.
So that's
crazy.
incredible.
Yeah.
Well, this person is an ultra endurance athlete.
Right. So we call things that are ultra endurance athletic events activities that exceed 6 hours in duration.
ultra endurance가 ultra power, ultra 뭐가 있을까요? ultra light.
Ultra high definition TVs, UHD TVs.
아, 그렇죠.
Yeah.
뭔가 이게 초과하는 초라는 접두어가 되겠고, endurance라는 것 자체는 이제 견뎌낸다는 뜻이지만 우리가 이제 운동과 체육에서 말할 때는 그 초장거리를 얘기하고요. athlete는 선수죠. 그래서 초장거리 달리기 선수, ultra endurance athlete라고 볼 수 있겠습니다. And he did this in memory of his mother, his late mother.
Right. So we use this when we are honoring someone who has passed away.
Yeah. 자, 누군가를 기리며 추모해서 이런 의미죠. In memory of someone. 다시 한번 제가 읽어보겠습니다. British ultra-endurance athlete William Goode has set a new world record by running 3,800 kilometers across Australia in 35 days in order to raise funds for cancer charities in memory of his late mother. Let's move on to the final headline.
A small town in western France has set a world record for the largest gathering of people dressed as Smurfs, with organizers counting over 3,000 participants.
프랑스 서부의 작은 도시 랑데르노의 만화 캐릭터 스머프 복장을 한 사람들이 주최 측 집계로 3,000명 이상 모이면서 해당 도시가 이 부문 세계 최고 기록을 경신했습니다. Tell us more.
Yeah, so fun story, right? It's a very, very small French town. And they say that 3,076 people dressed as Smurfs gathered together to break the world record for the largest Smurf gatherings. And after 2 failed attempts, the town finally beat the previous record of 2,762, which was set by a German town back in 2019. So participants of all ages, they put on blue face paint, the white hats, and sang Smurf-themed songs in the joyful event. And even an 82-year-old grandmother joined in, sipping beer as a Smurfette on a cafe terrace, while others traveled hundreds of kilometers to take part in this event. And this event was actually supported by a major motion picture company because there's an upcoming movie that's coming out in July. So it was seen as a welcome break from the locals, and organizers credited good weather, strong community spirit, and of course free movie tickets for the turnout.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I mean, just looking at the pictures, I can see people in their blue face paint and they're really going all out. I think in Korea, a lot of people are familiar with the Smurfs as well.
Of course.
And the Smurfs were created by the Belgian cartoonist Peyo in 1958, and they are still loved to this day. In France, the Smurfs are apparently called the Schtroumpfs. A little bit different. In Korea, Smurf.
Yes.
Okay, there was a gathering of about 3,000 people.
Right. A gathering is an assembly or a meeting, especially a social or festive one, or one that's held for a specific purpose, like this one, where people gathered for a specific meeting to break a world record.
사람들이 모여 있는 것을 표현하고 있는 거죠. There was a gathering of over 3,000 Smurfs. The next one is organizer.
Organizers. Organizers, it's a person who organizes or a person who arranges something like an event, especially by planning and coordinating, putting together the efforts of others.
네, 행사의 주최 측, 주최자를 organizer라고 말할 수 있겠고요. 뭐 그 외에도 우리가 이제 책상 정리하는 뭐 필통이라든지 뭐 이런 것들도 이제 어떻게 보면 정리를 해주는 물건이라서 desk organizer 이렇게 부를 수 있을 텐데 자, 이 기사 속에서는 사람을 아니면 주최 측을 얘기하고 있습니다. 자, 다시 한번 제가 읽어볼게요. A small town in western France has set a world record for the largest gathering of people dressed as Smurfs, with organizers counting over 3,000 participants. Well, that's it for the headlines this morning with Karen Choi. The Seoul metropolitan area and many other areas and regions, I should say, across the country recorded their highest ever morning low for May on Wednesday due to an influx of hot and humid southerly winds. 고온다습한 남풍이 지속적으로 유입되면서 어제 수요일에는 서울을 비롯한 전국의 많은 지역이 5월 1 최저기온 중 가장 높은 온도를 기록했습니다. Did you feel like yesterday was a really hot and humid day? Well, if you felt that way, you're absolutely right. In fact, it was the hottest morning low that we saw in many regions across the country, including the capital Seoul and other areas as well. 자, 서울뿐만 아니라 전국의 많은 곳에서요, 어제 최저 기온이 역대 5월 기온 중에서 가장 높았습니다. 서울 같은 경우에는 1907년 이후 가장 높은 최저 기온을 보였어요. 23도였습니다. 아침에 서울에서 출근하시는 분들, 이렇게 더워 하시는 분들 많이 계셨다면은 바로 이 이유 때문인데요. Other regions across the country also saw very high low temperatures, I should say. It's a bit odd to say the lows were very high. And when we talk about morning lows, we're talking about the lowest temperature of the day. But that was extremely high, as we can see from the news story. In Seoul, the lowest temperature of the day, as I said, was 23 degrees, recorded just before 6 a.m., the highest daily minimum temperature of May since modern meteorological observations began in the city in 1907. It was 1.2 degrees higher than the previous record of just under 22 degrees set in 2018. The lowest morning temperature in Incheon was about 20 degrees Celsius, also recorded just before 6 a.m., which was also the highest daily minimum temperature of May in the city. And, the same records were also set in many southeastern regions, as the lowest morning temperature was almost 24 degrees in Pohang, 23.4 degrees in Ulchin, 23 degrees on Ulung Island, and 22 degrees in Yeongdeok. The KMA said that the unusually hot weather for May will continue for the time being. But what about today? 오늘은요, 어제와는 또 많이 다르게 아침은 바람이 불고 또 비가 올 가능성이 있습니다. 그래서 지금 출근하시는 분들은 우산을 챙기시는 게 좋을 수 있을 것 같아요. 표현을 좀 보게 되면은 아침 최저 기온, morning low. If it's just one region and one temperature, you can say morning low. But if you're talking about many, many regions and different temperatures, then you just add an S, morning lows. 그렇다면은 최고 기온은요? 낮 최고 기온은 이 afternoon highs 보통 이렇게 표현을 하죠. morning하고 afternoon 빼도 돼요. So the lows and the highs 이렇게 표현하면 됩니다. So the weather forecast might be something like the lows this morning will range between 20 and 22 degrees and the highs 25 to 27 degrees. This is just an example. And in the wintertime, you might say the lows this morning will range between -5 and 3 degrees Celsius, and the highs will be between, let's say, 2 and 6 degrees Celsius. 보통은 이렇게 일기예보를 할 때는 아침 최저 기온의 range를 얘기하죠. So it will be between A and B. Now, an influx of something, INFLUX, an influx means something comes in, 유입이 된다라는 뜻이 되겠습니다. So an influx of people, you could say, or an influx of hot and humid weather or winds in this case. 사실 어제 이렇게 날씨가 굉장히 더웠던 이유는 바로 이 굉장히 고온다습한 남풍이 이렇게 몰려왔기 때문이거든요. 밀려왔고요. 그런 것을 an influx of hot and humid southerly winds라고 표현을 할 수 있겠습니다. 자, 그러면 다시 한번 헤드라인을 제가 읽어보겠습니다. The Seoul metropolitan area and many other regions across the country recorded their highest ever morning low for May on Wednesday due to an influx of hot and humid southerly winds.
A survey shows that the proportion of women who intend to get married has jumped nearly 10 percentage points in the past year.
네, 결혼 의향이 있다고 밝힌 국내 여성의 비율이 지난 1년 사이 10%포인트 가까이 급증했다는 조사 결과가 나왔습니다. Tell us more, Jason.
Yeah, so I guess this is a survey that happened in March, followed a poll the previous March of another year. And 48.2% of women intended to get married in March of last year. But that number has now risen to 55.7% 6 months later, and now 57.4% in March of this year. So certainly a lot of people are now considering this as something that they would like to do.
그러니까 예전이라기보다 이제 6개월 전 이 비슷한 서베이를 했을 때보다 더 많은 여성들이 결혼할 생각이 있다라고 얘기를 하고 있는 거네요. So that's a positive sign for a country that doesn't have it's the population is shrinking basically. But yeah, tell us more.
Yeah, and also in terms of the birth rate as well, the proportion of respondents who said couples should have children, which stood at 61.1% in March of 2024, that has surged to 70.9% a year later. So people are more positively thinking about having children now than a year ago as well. So as you mentioned, for a country with a population issue, certainly something that is a positive.
However, it looks like single men are thinking, marriage, not so much. So I don't know how it's going to work out. 그러니까 지금 전체 미혼 여성 같은 경우에는 6개월 전에 비해서 결혼 의향이 있다라고 답한 응답자가 6.7%포인트 정도 올라갔다고 해요. 그런데 미혼 남성은 전반적으로 그 의향이 소폭 감소했네요. 76.5%였다가 이제 6개월 후가 지난 최근에는 72% 정도가 결혼 의향이 있다고 하니까 뭐 여전히 절대적인 숫자는 높지만 줄어들고 있는 추세가 되겠습니다. What about the need for having children? Because that's the biggest issue, really, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And we talk about population issues because other countries have gone through that as well. So I think, Korea is kind of looking at that and realizing that, look, I mean, we do need social services for an aging population. And if the younger generation is not getting married and not having children, then it can be something in the future that could pose a problem.
그래요. 뭐 어디까지나 그냥 의향을 묻는 거기는 하지만 이 설문조사에 따르면은 전체 응답자의 71% 정도가 자녀가 필요하다라고 응답을 했다고 하고요. 이거는 이제 1년 전에 비해서 한 10%포인트 증가한 수치인데 이상적인 자녀 수는 변화가 없습니다. 평균적으로 1.8명으로 이렇게 데이터가 집계가 됐어요. 육아에서 가장 필요한 요소, 이 설문조사에 따르면은 자유로운 육아제도 사용이 가능한 직장 문화라는 응답이 나왔다고 해요. Now let's talk about the word intention.
Intention is something that you plan to do or something that you would like to do. So you haven't done it yet. It doesn't mean that you are going to do it necessarily, but it's something that you would like to do or perhaps are planning for.
그래요. 뭔가 할 때 I intend to do something. 그 의도는 intention. 자, 그다음에 jump라는 동사가 경제 기사, 비즈니스 기사에서 이렇게 쓰이면 어떤 의미일까요?
Yeah, if we think of the word at face value, then we're thinking of jump, meaning that, you go up in terms of, you want to leave your feet. You're going in the air. You're jumping off the ground. So think of it as going upwards in a sudden movement. So in the same sort of way, if you think of that with numbers and statistics and things like that, for something to jump, it means that it has suddenly gone up. So in terms of numbers, you're thinking about a positive direction or something that is, suddenly gone up.
Yep, definitely. 그러니까 수치가 껑충 뛰었다라는 의미겠죠. Here's the headline one more time. A survey shows that the proportion of women who intend to get married has jumped nearly 10 percentage points in the past year. Let's move on to our next headline. This is headline number 3.
Infants and toddlers in Korea are entering daycare centers at younger ages and spending more time there, now averaging 7 hours and 31 minutes per day, or 19 minutes longer than in 2021, according to a new national childcare survey.
정부의 영유아 교육 실태 조사 결과 우리나라 영유아들이 어린이집을 이용하는 시기가 빨라졌으며 이용 시간도 하루 평균 7시간 31분으로 2021년보다 19분 더 길어진 것으로 나타났습니다. Okay, tell us more.
Yep. So the 2024 National Childcare Survey found that the average age for first-time enrollment in childcare facilities, it's dropped down to 19.8 months. So just over a year and a half old for the child compared to 30 months in 2009, which would be basically 2.5 years old. So essentially, parents are sending their kids to childcare places about a year earlier or younger than they had in the past in 2009.
You have a child in childcare right
Yes,
now?
I do.
In daycare? Yeah.
Yeah, and the interesting thing is I can totally relate to this because if we look back at our older child who is now 8 years old, the first time that he went to childcare, I believe, was when he was 4 years old.
Okay.
Whereas our younger, who is now 5, I think we sent him at maybe around 2.5. So I can totally relate to the numbers. And I think some people might have had reservations in the past for various reasons, but certainly when you think of the benefits of what they can learn at child care centers now as well. I think there's just so many positive things that can come out of it.
네, 이 교육부가 실시한 보육 실태 조사 결과고요. 한 2,400여 가구 전국에 있는 이 가구를 대상으로 설문 조사를 실시를 했는데 전반적으로 보게 되면은 어린이집에 가는 시기도 빨라졌고 그다음에 하루 이용 시간도 늘었고요. 그다음에 비용 부담은 줄어든 것으로 나타났습니다. 왜냐하면 정부 지원이 늘어났기 때문이죠.
I have a cousin in Canada that sends their kids to childcare centers there. And I believe they are spending approximately $2,000 per child.
Right.
And their currency is about 1-to-1 to Korea. So about 200만 원 per month per child, which is, I want to say, at least 4 or 5 times
Yeah.
what we're paying here. So the cost is much better in
definitely.
Korea. And when I see, it's not just like babysitting over here. Like there's a lot of good programs that the kids learn because, sometimes you think of it as they're just taking care of the kids. But when I see how much they're doing, how much they're learning at an early age in Korea, I think the services certainly are very good.
Yeah, definitely. And what is 어린이집 in English?
It'd be a daycare center, I
Yeah,
guess.
그래요. 그게 여기 나와 있죠. Daycare Center. 그 daycare라는 것은 낮에 돌봐준다 이런 의미가 있고 어린이집을 보통 그렇게 부릅니다. Daycare Center.
Yeah, and like I said, there are other ways of saying it. Like
Yeah.
I mentioned the word babysitting. And babysitting, it's usually like a private service. Like you might have someone in the neighborhood, usually like a teenager or someone in like high school or middle school that might just watch over your kids for a certain amount of time. And it's usually going to be hopefully not a kid that's like 1 or 2, but maybe like more of like an infant than a toddler. And so usually you'll pay them like an hourly wage to take care of your kids for a certain while if there's a reason that you can't be home.
Exactly. 자, 그리고 어린이집에서 보내는 시간도 많이 늘었다고 했죠. 자, 시간을 보내다. 영어로는 spending time?
Yeah, anytime that you're spending time, then you're kind of using your time to do something.
Right.
And, a lot of times I've said to people that as broadcasters, I think of myself in a lot of cases as a salesperson. And the reason being because we're trying to sell ourselves, what our program,
Yeah.
our information to the audience. And the audience is the customer, but the audience is not giving us or spending money. Instead, they're spending time.
Yeah.
It's their time that we want. So in the same sort of way, because time is a commodity, much like money or cash is a commodity as well. So to give or to spend money and to give or to spend time, we think of it that way as well.
Those are the two words you want to associate spending with. So spending money, 돈을 쓰다, spending time, 시간을 보내다, 시간을 쓰다, 다 되겠죠. All right, here's the headline one more time. Infants and toddlers in Korea are entering daycare centers at younger ages and spending more time there now, now averaging 7 hours and 31 minutes per day, or 19 minutes longer than in 2021, according to a new national childcare survey. Here's our next headline.
Scientists have warned that sea level rise will become unmanageable by the end of the century, leading to catastrophic inland migration, even if the average level of heating over the last decade continues into the future.
지난 10년간의 지구 평균 기온이 앞으로 계속 유지된다 해도 해수면 상승 문제가 금세기 말쯤에는 관리 불가능한 상태까지 악화하고 이에 따라 내륙 지역에 재앙적인 수준의 이주 사태가 초래될 것이라는 과학계의 경고가 나왔습니다. Okay, tell us more. It doesn't look rosy at all.
No, or perhaps too rosy in terms of the temperature. The loss of ice from the giant Greenland and Antarctic ice sheets, that has quadrupled 4 times since the 1990s because of the climate crisis. And that is now the principal driver of sea level rise. As the ice is melting, then the sea level is going up. So the world is on track for about 2.5 to 2.9 degrees Celsius of global heating, which, they're saying it could go past the tipping point, meaning that the point of no return. And once it crosses that, then it's really going to accelerate this where it becomes self-sustaining
Yeah.
in terms of the world warming up as well as, the waters continuing to rise.
우리가 흔히 말하는 Paris Agreement 있죠. 파리 기후 협약 그 목표를 달성해도 그래도 이 극지방에 이게 눈이 녹아내려가지고 빙상이 손실되는 게 너무나 많이 손실이 될 거기 때문에 그것을 우리가 다 다루다, manage하다 하는 게 어려울 거라는 표현이 나오고 있습니다. 다시 말해서 이 기후 변화의 어떤 속도를 우리가 막지 못할 거다 이렇게도 볼 수 있을 텐데요. Something that's manageable or unmanageable means what?
Something that you can deal with, something that, like a problem that you can solve.
Right.
And if you think of a manager at work, they're kind of taking care of the people below them. And they're kind of looking out and solving problems for them because it's usually the workers that are doing the work. And then you have like the manager above them that's kind of solving problems for them. They're dealing with these issues. So if something is unmanageable, then it becomes to a point where I can't solve this problem.
Yeah.
It's something that I can't deal with.
manage 할 수 있다라는 것은 내가 이것을 대처하고 해결할 수 있다 이런 느낌인데요. unmanageable이니까 다루기 힘들다, 즉 좀 불가피한 안 좋은 상황이라는 것을 뜻하죠. What about catastrophic?
Something that is catastrophic is like a terrible disaster or something that is, I mean, you could just say it's bad.
Yeah.
But the word bad, it's just too general. So to use a word like catastrophic, it's kind of like making it something that's very, 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 very bad.
재앙적이다라는 뜻이니까 상당히 나쁘다는 거겠죠. 네, 그렇습니다. 정말 이대로라면은 수억 명이 이동을 해야 되는 상황이 생길 수도 있다고 해요. 다시 한번 제가 읽어보겠습니다. Scientists have warned that sea level rise will become unmanageable by the end of the century, leading to catastrophic inland migration, even if the average level of heating over the last decade continues into the future. Now here's our final headline.
An American man has defied age to achieve a new Guinness World Records title for the oldest man to perform a handstand at the age of 74 years and 145 days.
74세 한 미국 남성이 고령에 굴하지 않고 물구나무 서기를 한 최고령자 남성 부분에서 기네스 세계 기록을 달성했습니다. Okay, wow.
Yeah, the first time I read the headline, I was curious. Okay, well, what constitutes a handstand? Like, I mean, I remember as a kid trying to go upside down with my hands against a wall, or sometimes you do it on your head. But then how long can you hold that posture for? And can you use a wall or something to help you? And what the rules were is that you had to be able to hold the handstand for 15 seconds with nothing propping you up. So you, with only the help of your hands, are going to be upside down for 15 seconds. And let me tell you, I used to wrestle in high school. And one of the things that we did regularly was we learned to walk on our hands or to do handstands. And I can tell you that that's actually really hard to do it for 15 seconds.
Oh yeah, definitely. 1, 2초도 힘들죠. 근데 15초 이상 해야 되거든요. 기네스 기록에 올라가려면은. 근데 이제 이 주인공이 누군가요? What's his name?
Paul Budline. Yeah.
Yeah.
So and the previous record was 70 years old. So he didn't just beat it by a couple of days or a few months. He beat it by 4 years.
Yeah, he actually underwent hip surgery at the age of 70. And then he found out that the oldest person to have this record was 70. So he thought, okay, I'm going to give it a go. And he practiced every day. And now at age 74, he has broken that record.
I wonder how long he could have done it for. I didn't see the actual time because he only had to do it for 15 seconds. But I wonder, like, could he have gone a minute or something if he needed to?
Exactly.
Be interesting.
자, 그래요. 그래서 나이를 거스르는 그런 굉장히 대단한 핸드스탠드를 한 것인데 defying age라고 표현을 하고 있습니다.
If you defy something, then you go against something. So if it's like someone giving you an order and you deliberately not following that order. So you're doing the opposite, essentially, of what someone is telling you to do. So when we say that you defy age,
Right.
then you're supposed to age. Everybody ages, but you're saying, nope. I'm not going to age.
맞아요.
I laugh at age. I go against age. I'm not going to do what age tells me to do.
More commonly, we use the expression to defy gravity. And that's what a handstand is actually
Yeah.
doing because you're going upside down. Whereas, gravity wants to pull you down, putting your feet up in the air. But this person not only defied gravity, he also defied age.
Yes.
나이를 거스르는 그런 물구나무 서기를 했어요. 자, 물구나무 서기는 영어로 do a handstand, right?
Yeah, so a handstand, as mentioned, you're just being only on your hands, being upside down. So
Right.
you don't have the aid of your head and you don't have the aid of another person holding your feet.
네, 물구나무 서기 명사는 handstand. 그걸 동사로 쓰고 싶을 때는 do a handstand, perform a handstand 이렇게 다양한 동사를 사용하실 수 있어요. 다시 한번 제가 읽어보겠습니다. An American man who has defied age to achieve a new Guinness World Records title for the oldest man to perform a handstand at the age of 74 years and 145 days.